It's no use going back to yesterday because I was a different person then. A quote from Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, one of my favorite quotes. Actually, a very brilliant book, excellent depiction of the adventures that we go through in life. I mean, of course, obviously, it's very exaggerated, but obviously, this Lewis Carroll was a very, very brilliant man. He just found a way to basically talk about life experience and relay the information that even a child could understand. You know, one day we're one person, the next day we're someone else. We're too big, we're too small. Curiosity kind of kills the cat, sort of thing. But like I said, very, very brilliant. And again, it's no use going back to yesterday because I was a different person then. Okay, so what does this have to do with the topic? This quote is basically about the struggle we face in forgiving ourselves. We are able to forgive other people so much, but obviously we hold ourselves to such a high standard that we're so much less forgiving of ourselves as a result than we are to others. We blame ourselves a lot. Sometimes we end up in predicaments and say to ourselves, if I only knew then what I know now, things would have been different, but why did I not know? How could I have been so ignorant? How could I have been so stupid? And then it just turns into this whole cycle of beating yourself up on the daily. It's like, no wonder you can just be in this negative mood or negative mindset and actually manifest this cycle of negative intrusive thoughts, because you're going to take that with you wherever you go. I have to tell you the way it is. I don't know if you believe me or not, but energy is real. And that goes for positive energy too. Positive energy is also very real. But what happens is when you stick around too long with this negative type cycle, you actually manifest stuff that you don't want to. And you can spread that stuff around. And to me, as a psychic and as a clairvoyant, it looks like dark smoke. I mean, when people start speaking negative things, it literally, to me, as a clairvoyant, looks like dark smoke coming out of a person's mouth, or a dark cloud around a person's aura, and so on. But back to the topic, forgiving yourself. You need to do that because you're not. Today, you're a different person from back then. Obviously, you didn't have enough awareness then that you do now. You need, if it's of help or of any use, I mean, it really doesn't matter, but if you find yourself in a place where you blame yourself consistently for the mistakes that you've made because of a predicament that you're in currently, that is not serving you, number one. Getting out of the predicament that you wish to get out of, that's no help. That's not any kind of contribution to you getting out of a pickle, whatever it may be, whether it be having something to do with work or money or love or health. I mean, whatever the case may be, beating yourself up, blaming yourself, not forgiving yourself, that's only holding you down. That is working against you and not for you. You're going to. If you want to make progress, you're going to have to let it go. And I'm going to give you one way to help you to just start forgiving yourself and letting it go. Because if you really go back to that moment in time, you probably did the best you could do with whatever knowledge and awareness that you had at the time. There were probably things going on that you didn't know enough about and fell into something, and whatever, here you are. And that's okay. You have to. You have to start looking at mistakes as being a part of the growing and the evolving process. Now, some of us figure out things early, some of us a little later, but at the end of the day, we're all going to come to the same place, and how we are responding to the events that have occurred in our lives are going to make or break us. Because if we're going to sit around wallowing in the misery of the past, and every mistake that you've ever made is haunting you, then that is probably going to be the catalyst to the destruction of your emotional happiness, well-being, and any goals or anything that you had in mind. You're probably going to have to drop it, because you're not going to reach that destination like that. You're really not. So if you're going down that path in that negative mindset, you're going to stay exactly where you are. There's going to be no progress whatsoever. And the more you spread that vibe, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. But there is an alternative. And that alternative is forgiving yourself. Giving yourself a break. Forgiving yourself for not knowing what was best at the time. Forgive yourself because you did the best that you could with what you had to work with at the time. Forgive yourself for falling into whatever trap you feel that you were a victim to. Because if someone did something to you badly, and you were innocent and genuine and sincere, and you were taken advantage of in some way, shape, or form, that's not on you. That's on the other person. Because you did do the right thing. And the bad deed is on the other person who didn't value you or do right by you. And life, in all honesty, this is going to happen to the best of us. It's going to happen to the best of us because in life there is suffering. And the cause of the suffering is when we get attached and stuck on an as it should be type mindset. Okay? We have this idea in our head how things are supposed to look. How a family is supposed to look. How my parents are supposed to be. How my what my marriage is supposed to be looking like. How my kids look. And when things don't turn out the way that you have envisioned in your mind, you end up feeling devastated. But life doesn't really work that way. There are a couple of ways as far as these visions go. A lot of us have visions about stuff that we would like, what we want, how we see our future. And actually, this is kind of signaling to us that this is a blueprint of what is possible. Because we wouldn't be thinking of these things if they were truly outside of our reach. The mind is very much like a computer. It does all the math and calculations and starts to think about possibilities with the information that it's been given. So, like I said, the mind works very much like a computer in that regard. But when our minds are filled with lies and deception and self-sabotage and manipulation and heartbreak and so on, we end up getting, like we have this breakdown. So I'm trying to, like, I'm having a vision of a computer sort of blowing up. This is what can happen to us psychologically and emotionally. And yeah, it is our responsibility to learn from these mistakes, but not blow up. We can't blow up. We're going to have to let this stuff roll off our back. We're going to have to start to develop a thicker skin to deal with, like I said, forgiving ourselves, realizing that, if things are like that, and if you have been around people that have mistreated you to this degree, and you're kind of having a lot of that going on in your life, then you need to find yourself a better environment to put yourself in that's actually going to inspire you rather than bring you down. Makes sense? Sometimes that happens, okay? Sometimes there is that one in the family or one in this group of people that just end up in a place where they really don't fit in or belong. You're not a tree. You're not stuck. You can move. Just replant yourself somewhere else because you don't have to be stuck. It's like the world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want to do or whatever you think is right or best for your life. You have to start doing stuff that serves you. This is why these bad things happen. They're learning experiences. We're supposed to learn from it and move past it. And it bears repeating. If bad things happen to you in relation to people, and you've had negative experiences that have made you feel like your computer is breaking down, and you are the computer, then you just need to learn from that and work with that. And forgive yourself for making that mistake because it was basically your first time at the rodeo. And it's only normal for you to probably repeat that mistake a few times because you're not 100% certain. Maybe this was just this one incident with this one person. Maybe that was a bad person. Maybe you needed to make some changes. That's pretty much it. You've got to give yourself a break. And that's also a part, and here it comes, of loving yourself. Loving yourself will also have to include forgiving yourself. Okay? So, moving forward, you should feel better. You've got the wisdom, you've got the experience. That's great. That's how we learn. And use it. Utilize it. Learn more about yourself. There are so many people that, just kind of move through life without even knowing themselves. I mean, did you ever sit down and think to yourself, what do I like? What do I not like? What do I feel is going to work for me? What is really not going to work for me? What kind of person am I? What kind of person am I? Am I a patient person? Am I impatient? Do I have a high tolerance level, a low tolerance level? What can I handle? What can't I handle? These are things that you're going to have to start asking yourself. So, for example, if you understand that you cannot be, for example, with a person that cheats, okay, or someone that is childish, cheating, kind of keeping you on your toes, always wondering where this person is and what they're doing, because that's how they're making you feel, because they're so secretive and not communicating stuff to you, then you should not put yourself to be involved with some kind of wild child type guy or woman. You'll definitely see the red flags of all of this early on, but why continue to move forward if you're not the kind of person that has the patience or the tolerance for someone of this nature? Believe it or not, a lot of people do. But this is applicable to everything. For example, a job. There are a lot of people that are very happy with a safe, secure, predictable job. And that's okay. But then for others, that can be very frustrating to them. A day in, day out, predictable check at the end of the week or month, whatever, and they don't want that. They just feel closed in or trapped, while the next person is feeling very secure and love having that predictability. So to each his own, right? So like I said, through these negative experiences that happen in your life, you're learning about life, you're learning about other people, but you're also learning about you. What your likes are, what your dislikes are. And you're supposed to, like I said, use this information to benefit yourself moving forward, rather than using this information to beat yourself up, be upset, be angry, have like this whole PTSD going on with all these flashbacks of these events that happened in the past that you can heal from if you simply take the reins of your life back. It's no use going back to yesterday, because I was a different person then. So I'm going to go ahead and end this podcast on that note. I hope that all of my listeners have enjoyed this episode. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, forgive yourself. You did the best you could with what you had to work with at the time. I wish you all the very best of luck. Until next time, enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.